Alright, so this is going to be a short one, but I just found out something that has really surprised me, and I quickly wanted to share that. I'm currently working on my Gyre Prime build that should be out relatively soon, and in the process I noticed something about cold status effects. Now, it might be totally possible that it's just me who's bugging here and everyone else already knows about it, but I haven't really found anything on the wiki here about it, and also no forum posts or anything, so I thought I'd just share that. See, in the description for the cold status effect, it says that it increases your crit damage in a flat way. It's a flat crit damage increase like Arcane Crepuscular, like Tenacious Bond. And that means it should technically also apply to abilities, right? It says here plus 0.45 at 9 stacks, and when the enemy becomes completely frozen on the 10th stack, then that will even increase the flat critical damage multiplier to plus 1. So technically, when an enemy is frozen and you deal any sort of crit against them, you should get that plus 1 final crit damage multiplier. I can also very quickly show you here in the game. In order to showcase this, I am going to make sure that there are no other effects that sort of influence the damage. This right here is a Galaxion Vandal. It has only cold on it, no viral, no nothing that should influence our damage. And as a test weapon here, I use the Epitaph Prime with a almost maxed out pistol gambit, meaning it has exactly 100% crit chance. It will always do a yellow crit. So what we see right here is, when we use the Epitaph Prime, get a headshot against the heavy gunner, we deal like 6,000 something damage, right? Gets a bit more if we apply more cold procs, of course, but that is sort of what we expect. Then, if we completely freeze the enemy with a Galaxion and then get a headshot, boom, now we do 8,000 damage. That is probably because we got a little bit more crit damage from the 10 cold procs. If we do it now, you see we deal less damage again, that the cold procs are gone now. That is perfectly normal. I also equipped my Zorus here with the new melee Kareen, which freezes enemies when you roll next to them. And we can also test out this, get 10 procs from that, and also here, boom, the 8,000 damage that we come to expect from a fully frozen enemy. So far, nothing new. But here comes the catch. Let's quickly swap our Warframe to somebody who can crit with abilities. I know Gyre can crit with abilities, but for her it's kind of bugged and very weird. It doesn't work really. So we go with Noko right here. We go with Noko. I just swap to the test build. We have basically nothing on him. As we know, with Noko, when we throw our 4th ability, that does crit. We throw it at the gunner, boom, 500 on initial hit. Now, if we go, and I already prepared this, if we put Arcane Crepuscular on him, that gives us a flat plus 3 times final critical damage. The same way that technically also Cold gives us final crit damage. So let's quickly go and use Shade in order to become invisible. Remember, our directed damage was 500 at first. Come on, make me invisible. Okay, there we go. 500 at first, but now that we're invisible and Arcane Crepuscular is on, boom! The direct damage is 1600. That is a crazy crit damage increase, and it is, of course, because Arcane Crepuscular gives us a 3x flat bonus on top. So we have proven that flat crit damage bonuses apply to ability crits. But if we now go, let's get rid of Shade. If we now go and try to get some additional crit damage from the cold procs, we freeze the enemy, we throw our 4 again, it is again just 500. Even though the enemy is completely frozen and we should technically get more crit damage, it still does the same amount as it would if the enemy has no cold procs on them. Let's just wait until the 3 ones are gone. Boom, also 500. So it appears that no matter if we freeze enemies or not, this added crit damage, the flat 1 times on frozen enemies, that only applies to weapon crits and not at all to abilities, which is very interesting. Oh yeah, and just by the way, in case you're wondering, I also tested this with an Exalted weapon to see if that works or not. I didn't test all Exalteds, I just did an example with Gara right here, but it seems that Cold does work on Exalted weapons at least. So if I use my Shattered Lash, it deals 504 damage per enemy by default, and then if I go and actually freeze them, we're dealing 662. So cold does appear to work on exalted weapons. Now, just to be 100% clear, I wanted to test this with Wisp as well, because her third ability, Breach Surge, can also crit if we hit enemies with the Surge Sparks. But the problem here is it's really difficult to see a difference that could be triggered by cold, because the numbers vary quite a bit depending on where the Surge Spark hits the enemy and where you hit the enemy and how much damage you deal initially. So the difference from cold here, I think, would be kind of difficult to keep track of. But yeah, did you know about this? Am I the only one who didn't know that cold only applies to weapon crits and not to ability crits whatsoever? Is that new? If yes, why doesn't it say so in the wiki? Is there any forum posts? Let me know in the comments down below. Just a funny little nitpick that I encountered when I was working on my Gyro video, and I thought I would share. Have a nice afternoon. Bye!